Divorced after 16 years of marriage and single at 39, I share my mistakes and experiences to help your marriage, improve your dating life, and prepare you for life after divorce. Hey everybody, this is my second episode in my dating series videos that I'm doing. And what am I doing if this is the first time you're listening? I am inviting local women here in the San Antonio area, and we're talking about dating. We're talking about some of the mistakes men are making out there in the dating world. We're talking about the struggles that they're seeing firsthand through their perspective in the dating world. And this whole conversation, this whole series, believe it or not, to all the guys that I see that are posting angry comments in the videos on YouTube, I'm doing this for you guys. I'm doing it to improve men's dating lives overall, because honestly, no bullshit. Many of you are getting horrible advice from these podcasts that it's making you a very confrontational, a very resentful person. And you can see it in the comments. You can read it in your tones. And women are telling me in these conversations that many of you are confrontational and just going to these dates like ready to battle and debate. Like, what the fuck? That's not going to help you get any dates, guys. Okay. So the purpose of these videos is to showcase just regular women. All the podcasts that you're learning about dating from, these women on the whatever podcast, the Fresh and Fit, I'll call them out. These are LA-based women. They're OF models, and they're a totally different breed. And again, granted, they do exist, but not every woman is an OF model. I totally mean that. I mean, it's quite evident and obvious out there, but many of you don't know that. So again, the purpose of these conversations is to have a healthy dialogue on what these young women are seeing. Again, all these women are single. The ages range from 20 to 33. And again, I'm going to keep doing these shows to bring awareness to you, because again, I hate the divide that I see out there. I see a lot of men that are incredibly lonely and giving up on dating. And I truthfully think it's because you just haven't been taught how to maybe communicate and maybe have dialogues with women. That's the purpose of these videos. So again, if you're in that red pill space and you have like this, maybe you're in the hate phase of dating, whatever the case is, I genuinely hope that you sit down and just listen to this conversation. Okay. I want to help people. I want to help men and women. I want to help people that want to help themselves. If you've made up your mind that you've given up on dating and you hate women, then don't listen. This conversation is not for you. Okay. This is for people who generally want to learn and become a better person overall. And in these conversations, you're going to just hear a different perspective from women and just see where they're coming from and what they're seeing. And that's going to benefit you overall. And if you haven't done so already, please, whatever listening platform you're listening on, whether it be Apple Podcasts or whether it be Spotify, leave a 5-star rating. I am shooting always for 5-star ratings. Again, if you don't feel the show is 5-star worthy, please leave some constructive criticism in the comments. I'd love to know why. And I will read all your feedback on the next show. And I checked right now, I haven't received any comments on Apple Podcasts. I haven't received any reviews on Apple Podcasts since June of 2023. So again, if you're an Apple user and you're listening to this right now, after the show, leave some feedback. I would love to read it. And again, I promise you, I'll read it on the next episode. If you're watching on YouTube, do me a solid, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, because effective January 20th with the whole TikTok thing finally being banned, all my lives effective January 20th will be on YouTube and on Facebook. Okay. So again, if you follow me on TikTok and you love that live engagement, you can find it on YouTube and on Facebook effective January 20th. Okay. So be sure to follow. I would appreciate that. And without further ado, here's my conversation with Annalisa, Alejandra, Natalia, and Daisy. Enjoy. And thank you, ladies, for being part of the show. Well, everybody, this is episode 2 of my dating episodes here on Rude Advice. The first episode went very well. The reaction was great from a lot of people. And again, I'm going with the ladies here. I'm going to find out, what men can do to improve their overall dating lifestyle, what they're doing wrong, any dating tips. And plus, I want to hear the ladies' stories as far as what's going on in the dating world, what you've seen, and so forth. So without further ado, let's kind of go down the list. I guess we can start with Alejandra. Tell everybody your name, your age, and your status. I believe everybody's single, of course, Del, right?
What did you say again? Sorry.
Your age.
I'm 30.
30, okay. And Natalia?
I am Natalia, and I am 25 years old.
25, okay. Daisy?
And I'm Daisy. I am 33 years old, a single mom, 5 years now.
All right. And Annalisa?
I'm Annalisa. I'm 27, and I have been single practically my whole life.
Your whole life. That's right. You mentioned when we were talking that you've never had a boyfriend since ever, right? Since high school?
Yeah, I feel like high school doesn't really count. You're too young then, but that's the last time.
Okay. So let's talk about dating real quick. So, ladies, you don't have kids here. Would you date a guy with kids?
Sorry. Actually, I I've dated guys with kids. At the beginning, I wasn't very about it. But I kind of started thinking more, I guess, for the kid. And I was just like, well, it's kind of not their fault for like not having their parents together, right? So I kind of just gave it the chance. And I was just like, okay, like I don't know boundaries. But I've learned to kind of just communicate with them and kind of just seeing where they're coming from, because I don't know what it feels like to have someone or have a kid.
Right.
So kind of just communicating with them about it and how they feel about it is basically what I've always done.
Okay.
So that's my perspective.
Okay.
So I feel like for me, this is a hot topic amongst me and my friends because I have a lot of friends who have kids and who are also married to men who had kids prior to them. So I feel like for me, it's a little bit of a difficult decision because I don't really see myself having kids in the future. That's not something that I may necessarily want. I mean, I'm 27, so I mean, there's still time to change. But I feel like when I'm dating and I'm finding people, because I'm at that age where a lot of people do have kids, I feel like for me, I really have to take into consideration if this is someone that I see long term, because I'm not only taking their feelings into consideration, but I mean, they have a whole life besides me. You know what I mean? The kids will always come first. So I feel like that's definitely it definitely plays a role into my dating life now. I'm less likely, I feel like, to pursue something that's more casual if they do have kids, just because, I mean, they're a parent, and I want to make sure that if I'm going to invest time into them and they're going to invest time into me, that, I'm for sure about it.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That's a great way to think about it and look at it. I totally respect that. And Daisy, would you?
I do have one.
You do? Okay.
Yes,
okay.
I do. I have a now 7-year-old. And as I mentioned, I've been single now for the last 5 years. So for the better part of my kiddo's life, I have been single and dating here and there. And I have gotten a good mix, I would say, of men that were interested because I was a parent, regardless if they had kids or not, and vice versa, which is nice. They're going to be straightforward. Either, they're into you or they're accepting that you have kids, or they're not interested, and just makes it easier, if they are interested. And of course, it helps if they have kids themselves, because then, of course, they understand,
Yeah.
co-parenting, if there is co-parenting, if there isn't, the struggles of parenting in general. It's not for the weak, which is nice. But I have found, though, those that don't have kids, there are struggles in that because they simply just don't always understand, how you have to be there, how if there is another parent involved, how they're going to be involved regardless. So that's been interesting.
Yeah. I recall when I started dating, like I said, my kids were preteens, and there was a lot of women who straight up told me, I don't date a guy with kids. I like being the center of attention. I don't like any baby mama drama. So there's a lot of things I understood, and I didn't take that as an insult. I'm like, hey, I get it. I mean, I'm not asking anybody to be the new mother for my kids. I had a rule: nobody met my kids for 6 months, so I had to get to know them to make sure they weren't crazy or psycho. So I wanted to be sure they were. Yeah, so I'm all protective about the kids, but believe it or not, the women that I did date, including my wife now, a lot of women did respect the fact that I was an involved dad. So there's a few women that do love that fact, like, wow, you're an involved father. And I'm like, yeah, apparently that's a rare thing. I mean, and a lot of women that I dated who had kids, I saw the struggles of them being by themselves and not even having a father or boyfriend involved in helping with the kids' upbringing and such like that. So it can be tough. It can make everything a whole lot worse. But I guess this question goes for everybody. Let's start with Alejandro. So what are some of the struggles right now you're facing in the dating world right now? What is the biggest struggle that you have?
Basically right now, it's kind of just like my values. There's a lot of, I'm going to say, as far as like sexual type of dynamic nowadays, where it's kind of just like, okay, I like you. And then it gets to the point of being sexual. And it's like, okay, but why are we going to go straight to that if you don't even know me? Like, I understand it goes into emotions, but then all that kind of just backfires and you're like, okay, like, I don't really know the person, and it's kind of just like, okay, well, whatever kind of deal. But that's like a big thing nowadays where it's sexual. That's it.
How soon are we talking? Like the first week, the first date?
I mean, sometimes when we go out, like to parties and stuff, you have like those, I'm not even gonna say one night stands, right? But I feel like most of it is one night stands because that's when you meet people right then and there, and then it just kind of happens, and you're like, oh, okay, that's it. Um, that's how I see society, you know? But as for myself, I'm like, yeah, no, we're not doing that. I'm like, no,
Okay.
thank you. But yeah, that's mine.
That's the biggest struggle. Okay. Anybody can go next. Any order, doesn't matter.
Okay, I'll go. I feel like with my so struggles with dating now is I attract non-committal men. I don't know if it's necessarily me or every woman's going through the same problem, but I feel like I've tried dating apps like multiple times. I have no problem meeting a guy, but the problem is that they want to become pen pals, and that's what will stay for months. I mean, they don't take initiative to plan anything. When I bring up, like, eventually I have a rule now, a 2-week trial. After 2 weeks, if you don't take the time to initiate any sort of plans, even if you're just planning for maybe 3 weeks from now, if you're busy, I know I get it. Like everyone's busy, but I feel like if you want to, you'll find the time. So I feel like, yeah, I'm just meeting guys on these apps. They'll want to talk to me. They continue the conversation. It's not a problem. But when it comes to us actually meeting in person, it doesn't happen. They never make the time. But then I see them on Instagram posting stories out, partying with girls. I see a hand in the picture and I'm like, okay, where's this going?
Yeah. You know what? That's the first I've ever heard of that, pen pal. So all you're doing is texting.
I call them pen pals. Yeah, I'm like, I will tell guys straight up, like, you want a pen pal, and that's not me, because I really don't know what like gives them the assumption that that's what I'm looking for. But I mean, I feel like I'm already ready to settle down. I've kind of been, and then if I do bring that up, the one comment I get is like, well, you're applying too much pressure. And I'm like, I'm not asking you to marry me. Like, I'm just saying, let's plan a date. Like, take the initiative and plan Saturday at 8 p.m. Let's get dinner. That's all I'm asking for.
And it doesn't even have to be dinner. It can be literally
It doesn't.
like, well, let's go drive. Like, look at the lights or something.
There's always an excuse though, especially with football season. That's the thing right now. Like, oh, the football games are on. And I'm like, okay, well, I like football. Why can I not, why can't we go to 54th and get a drink? So it's definitely a struggle that, I come across often.
That is so interesting because a lot of the guys that I coach, they tell me they can't even get anybody to match on a dating app. And I'm hearing from you is that they're matching with you. You're talking,
yeah, I match.
That's all you're doing. They're not taking the initiative to.
That's it. So, I mean, at this point, I don't get my hopes up. Like, I know we're just going to talk for a week or two. And I cut them off after that. Like I told you, I have the 2-week trial. That's it.
Okay. Do you think maybe some of them are married and they're just kind of messing around on there, just trying to get attention? Or what do you think? Why do you think they're not reaching out to you and actually asking you out on a date?
Don't know. I get a lot of that. I see like my appearance comes off as if I'm not serious, or I honestly have no idea. So, I mean, I even got to the point where I was like, let me revamp my Instagram. Maybe it's how I'm coming off through my pictures. Like maybe I'm presenting myself a specific way. So I took off everything that I thought, could give them the wrong impression, but it hasn't made a difference.
That is so interesting. I'm curious why. I'm going to be thinking about that for a while. Daisy, how about you? What's the biggest struggle for you?
For me, it is just finding someone that I like and vice versa. It's either I like them and they don't like me back, or they like me, feelings not mutual. I've been at this for 5 years on and off now, and I'm appreciative of that because it's helped me really understand what I want, what I'm looking for, and whatnot. Mm-hmm. But I guess, I don't know, it's just made me more picky, but I'd like to say more refined, gotten more specific to my wants and needs. And, because I understand too what I have to offer and all of that, have to be realistic because I've been married once. I've, been down that road once, and I'm trying to do it. Yeah, I'm trying to do it a lot better because I too relate to what you're saying. Like to this day, 5 years, my child doesn't really know of, she's never met anyone. To her understanding, the only male figures are family or friends, husbands, stuff like that. So,
and that's good versus a boy or a new guy every month. Hey, look at mommy's new friend. And then it only confuses her. So yeah, that's very good. I respect that.
And I've stuck to that. And so now it's just that's really what it's come down to. It's either I like him and the feeling's not mutual, or vice versa. So that's been interesting.
I was picky too. So what do you, when you say picky, what do you mean exactly? Is it more, for me, it was chemistry. We needed to have a chemistry. So there's looks, of course, but if she was pretty and we had no chemistry, I was bored out of my mind. But is that the same thing with you? Maybe the personality? What are you looking for exactly?
Asked my friends for the longest time. I held on to the height thing, the certain looks, definitely for, again, the first few years, but let go of that. And it's just more so morals, values, like genuinely what their day-to-day looks like. Like, are they going to be annoyed by my perky, happy self? Like, I'm ready to go at 5 a.m, no coffee, but don't worry, I'll let you sleep in.
That's a deal killer for me. That's too early.
Exactly.
Just kidding.
But it's okay. Like, we can get you some earmuffs, something,
There you go.
Don't you worry. You know what I mean? It's just, that's in a nutshell.
I hear you. So it's funny you said morals, so that you and Alejandro are kind of having the same struggles. Moral seems to be a big deal, and it should be, of course. But it seems that there's lack of morals out there in the dating world. So that's interesting.
There's a lot of red flags that I ignored, and that's why I hold on to that. Morals, like, what are his morals, values? What does he truly want out of life? Is he really wanting to evolve into more, or is he okay with where he's at in life? Like, you can tell. I don't know if it's just my age where I'm at, again, recently 33, but I feel like you can gauge that in a person. So.
Would all you ladies agree that what you said, initiative, is what you're looking for as well? You want someone with drive and ambition to make himself better than what he is?
Yes.
Definitely?
Yes.
And do you see that often?
Not necessarily. They're all pretty much settled in what they're doing. Yeah, there you go.
Really?
Comfortable. And I'm like, really? Okay.
Now, when you say comfortable, paint me a good picture of what that means. Does that mean that they maybe are working a job and they don't have a career and they're happy? I don't know. Like, what does that mean? They're just, help me out here.
I think for me, it's more of like, okay, let's say, for example, someone, like for me, right? I'm at Whataburger right now and I work at a hospital, but I'm trying to be a nurse, right? So I'm going to school for that and I'm going to graduate. So it kind of goes from like, okay, where are you putting yourself at to get more into your career, or where are you going to like better yourself in, oh, I want to build a business, oh, I'm doing this on the side, like little projects, goals that you have for yourself, like, hey, I'm trying to do this for my family, for myself. Just
personal
being
goals.
more open. Yeah, there you go. Being more open and just wanting to do better in this life and be different.
That makes sense. Okay. I get that now. And Natalia, what are some of the struggles? Again, I mean to skip you, but what are some of the struggles that you're facing right now in the dating world?
Probably finding the time to actually go and find them.
Yeah.
Like, I'm always in the house. I'm always at work. Literally, I have like 2 other little side jobs I try to work off of, and it's just, I don't really go out. I'm a single parent. I don't have any family here. Good thing I've resourced and met people along the way who are able to babysit from time to time. But it's like, do I really want to pay out of my pocket to go and hang out with somebody that's not going to work out?
I hear you.
And then obviously, like, I do struggle with my daughter's dad judging me every move that I make, even though he's not involved physically in our lives. So it's kind of, somebody's always in your ear.
Honest opinion, because a lot of my viewers are guys, right? Ages 18 to 45, all demographics, right? What is the worst thing a guy can do on a first date?
I had a guy bring up, so we were at Pluckers. Let me just set the scene. We're at Pluckers, we're eating. Our plan is to go to the movies after. He brought up how his ex broke up with him because he cheated. But he said that he was justifying the cheating on the date. And timing, God was on my side, because at the same time I had something that I had to leave for anyways. So I just used it as an excuse. And he knew, like, he texted me when we got done with the date. He was like, I'm assuming like I'll never see you again, or you'll never talk to me again. And that was it. So, I mean, I guess like bringing up cheating, I feel like he brought it up. It would be different if he was like, I learned from it, I'm trying to grow, but he was justifying it and saying that she was pretty and that's why his ex was, mad about it. So I would say that.
Yeah. Guys, if you're listening, don't bring up the fact that you cheated on your ex-girlfriend on the first date with another woman. What is wrong with you, man?
Absolutely not.
Wow. Okay. Anybody, Alejandro, Daisy, anybody?
So I actually went on a date too with someone, and we were at a bar thinking like, oh, like he's a social person. No, we started talking about how he's so antisocial. He doesn't like to talk to anyone. Knowing that I'm very outgoing, so I was like, oh yeah, that's not gonna work out. And I was like, how are you gonna say you're antisocial when you're out and you're on Tinder? I'm like, that doesn't make sense. But I'm like, okay. And then, I mean, further on, like talking about him being in the military, I was like, oh, like that's what it is. And I was like, okay. So I kind of just left it at that, and I was like, that's it.
Yeah.
I can't. I have to be with someone that's going to be outspoken. Like, for example, also, like, at the bar, they messed up his beer. And I said, hey, like, go and tell them, like, they messed up. Like, it's all water. And he's like, no, I don't want to. And I'm all, okay, well, that's you.
Gotta stand your ground.
Yeah, and I'm like, I can't.
Yeah. So he sounds like maybe really like an introvert and you're an extrovert is what I'm getting. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, speak up. Especially mess up my drink order. I'd be really upset about that. Daisy, what about you?
For me, it's definitely speaking bad about an ex, whether it's an ex-wife, baby mama, girlfriend, whatever. Just don't speak badly about anybody. Just don't. And drinking. I've gone on a few first dates where men have gotten pretty drunk. And half the time I realize it's because, kind of similar to what Alejandra was speaking to, like some, people need to drink to get loose, to feel more comfortable. I don't get it. I'm the most social person ever. I don't need anything. Yeah. But I mean, I get it. People are like that. Yeah. Hold your own, guys, on a first date.
That is like courage.
Yes. It's not cute. It's immediate ick. There's no coming back from that. At least for me. I don't know. That's just me.
So getting wasted or drinking a lot is, guys, don't do that on first date.
Lack of self-control.
Yes.
There you go.
Ego.
Natalia?
The ego.
Oh, the ego will come out. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like someone is just too cocky. Like it's just not.
Or when he's not asking you any questions. I have been on a date. I remember halfway through, I was asking all of the questions. And I'm like, okay, I'm not getting anything. This is great. This is great.
Yeah.
Do you find
Ask question.
I found this again. I started dating in 2016, right? The first time ever at 39. I found that a lot of people couldn't carry a conversation.
Yeah.
Are you seeing the same thing? Like they're picking up their phone and like, hey, I'm right here. Like they can't have a genuine conversation.
They're not.
Absolutely.
I'm trying to find the word. They're basically not like in tuned with you. So like you were talking about chemistry, that has to do with everything. They're not on the same path as you. Like we are all on our own paths. They probably just broke up with someone last week and you don't even know. And they're on another date trying to get over that. Or they're just bored. They're lonely. They haven't actually healed. And they're just out wasting time because that's what they're comfortable with. But I feel like as women, we're more purposeful. We want to do things that mean something. We don't want to just waste our time for no reason. Don't get me wrong. I mean, there's some women that don't care and they're young and free and they'll sometimes even they're older and they've already been through that. And, they want to be young again and they want to live their life and do the one nights but all that. And it's just everybody's on their own paths. And it's just actually taking the time to actually get to know that person before you attach yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree because I would say, this is just my estimate, I would think maybe 70 to 75% of the dating pool out there should not be dating. They have no business dating. There's a lot of people that have unhealed trauma or dating for the wrong reasons. And they're just a lot. I was actually shocked how many women that I dated who were scared to be alone. Like they didn't want to be alone. So they settled in relationships because they were scared to be alone at their house. I found that so odd. Not just women, there were men too who were scared to be alone. So they just date anybody. But I think there's a lot of people out there who aren't comfortable with themselves, or at least confident or working on themselves. And they're going out there and they're not happy. So they're going out there to try to find happiness, which that's never going to work.
Yes.
Never. But it's not even happiness either. It's more of like they're finding validation too. Like there's a lot of people with insecurities, and then they'll go out and like they just want the attention, and I'm like, okay.
That's the date that pisses me off. They just took me out to show me off. I've gone on a few of those dates. Not okay.
Well, that's got to suck. Well, let me ask you this: what is the best thing a guy can do on a first date that would just like wow you? Like, man, this guy's something else. And you know what? I like the order we're going with. Let's just go Alejandra. Let's go alphabetical order. Let's just do that for the rest of the podcast.
Yeah, we can. The best thing, to be honest, I'm very traditional too, right? So opening doors, getting flowers, I love that. Like, honestly, my ex, that was the first time they had ever done that to me, and I was like, wow, like there's still men out there like that. I'm like, wow. So just those type of traditional things is the best thing ever that they could do.
Wow, just opening the door.
Yeah, opening the doors.
I got to tell another story. One of the first dates I went out on, I was raised to open the door, and when I picked somebody up, I went to her house and I knocked on the door. She goes, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "Well, I'm here to pick you up." And she goes, "You didn't text me?" And I'm like, "No, I'm here." She goes, "Oh my God, this is like prom." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" She's like, "No, oh my God, let's go." And I opened the door for her. She's like, "Oh, I can't believe this. No one's opened the door for me ever." I'm like, it blew my mind. Because again, these are standard things that I was raised with to do on a date. And she had never experienced that. So again, you just brought up a memory, Alejandra, that I'll never forget that. She was just blown away. And I'm like, this is it. This is all I got to do.
It's different. So it's good.
Yeah. I don't know what happened between my age and the new ages. I don't know what the hell happened, but okay, let's continue. What's the best thing a guy can do?
Okay, best thing a guy could do. I feel like the same thing she said. Like, I love a gentleman. I had dated a guy, kind of recent, last year. He was the same way, opening doors, standing outside the car, serving me. We would go to a restaurant and he would like lay out my plate for me and serve me because we went to like a family style. So I thought that was on our first date too. I thought that was nice. Of course, like the pulling out the chair. I think just overall, even like little rules, like the sidewalk rule, just him, positioning me. I mean, stuff like that makes the biggest difference, but a lot of guys just don't think to do it. And this one might be controversial, but I do like the guy to pay for me on the first date. I will always offer though. I always offer, and it's kind of like a little test for me. So I will always suggest like, hey, I got it. No worries. And sometimes I'll have guys that are like, you got it? Okay. Like you got money and they'll let me pay. And that to me, I mean, it's more so just like, I want to know, like, you're going to take, even if you just offer back and say, no, I got it. That to me is just a green flag already. So I don't know why. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
It's not controversial. I think that's just old school common sense. If the man asks you out, the man picks you up and the guy pays. That's just me. And as you go on and date some more, if she says, hey, I'll get the movie ticket, you get the popcorn. Hey, that's fine. Yeah. But if I'm asking you out, I am paying for your evening, even if it doesn't work out. But what would you say to this? Because there's some women that say, if I know deep down I don't like him, I'm going to insist on paying because I don't want him to pay and I feel obligated.
Like karma.
Yeah.
I don't want to use someone intentionally, knowing I don't like
exactly.
You want to be respectful about it.
Yeah. Do y'all agree with that? Like if you don't feel anything that you pay?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I would always offer. I feel like
no.
I wouldn't. Sorry.
Okay.
If you invite it, you pay. Like that's it. That's
I'm sorry, Daisy.
No, I was just gonna say my toxic trait is the way my brain works is you should treat like how would you want your daughter to be treated? That's like the way I don't know. That's the way my parents raised me. And I have a daughter and then the way her dad was with me, the way he is with her, it's like, how would you want your daughter to be treated? Is this how you want a man? You want to, Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I struggle with that. And I've had to tell a guy or two that, and some of them are understanding. Some of them are just like, So, I mean, there is no wrong answer, right? So if there is someone that's just not into that, then, that means that there's someone that is. So,
yeah. And I think, to me as a guy, I think if this is just my opinion, if you aren't attracted to him and you're just like, I thought we had something, I would say pay. That's a nice thing to do. But I have known a lot of women who are drop dead gorgeous and were just hungry, and they just went on the app and looked at the guy who gave them the most attention. And you know what? I'm going to have him take me to a steakhouse, a Brazilian steakhouse. It's free food. And I knew. So guys, there are women like that out there. So be careful with that. Not everybody's innocent. So be careful with that. But yeah, I mean, I'm getting old school guys pay. That's just me.
Yeah.
Where do we leave off? We're talking about the best thing he can do. Daisy, did you give an answer? I'm sorry.
Did I on the best thing?
Yeah. What can you do? Just like wow you? Like I like this guy.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no. For me, it would be communication, genuinely having an engaging conversation, tying back to ask me damn questions. I cannot be the only one asking questions. Listen and follow-up questions. That's honestly what it comes down to. I'd like to think I've gotten a little bit good about filtering out, because the only way I meet anybody is on the dating app. I hang out with my friends. I'm a mom. If I'm going to meet someone, it's going to be on a dating app at this point. Yeah. Right. So I like to think with conversations, how they go on there, I'm pretty good about gauging, okay, what's actually going to come out of the dating app and actually in person meeting and whatnot. So when it gets to that point, it's good. I've gotten better about just knowing, okay, for the most part, it's either going to go good or it's not. And I just need good communication, someone that can actually hold a conversation. I'm naturally extroverted. Yeah. I don't mind introverted people. A few of my best friends, my little sister, most introverted people I know, but they are the best people. We get along great, so that's going to be the main thing, is genuinely engaging in conversation, asking questions, follow-up questions, to truly want to get to know a person, and not just like the superficial questions, like, who's your role model and why, I don't know. Like the deep questions. And one of my best friends is kind of like I need to stop with like the intense questions on day one, but I don't know. I'm dating with intention. I'm in no rush, but I'm curious. I want to know.
Yeah. That's the fun part when you're dating. You get to know each other, ask those questions. I always ask, like, what's your favorite movie and why? Because I'm a movie guy. Obviously, all the movies are back here. So that's what I did. Anyway, and you know what? Guys tell me about the struggles with dating all the time and how they can't find dates. And I'm asking women here, genuine women, that what can guys do to wow you? And honestly, you're not asking for anything outside of the norm. It's nothing outside the box or anything that requires, need I say, effort. It's just general common decency, how to have a conversation, open a door, just be interesting, be well-mannered. It's not a lot.
Or don't have any expectations. Like, just genuinely go and like meet somebody. Like, why do you have to like go to a date with the intentions like, oh, I want to take her home, or I really like her. Like, you're over obsessive. If there's certain personalities. And not everyone is, like I said, not everyone is on the same path as you. And maybe they're not ready, or maybe they're too, like, introverted. Like Alejandra was saying about her one date. Like, find people within your
antisocial.
Find people within
I cheated on my ex-girlfriend, by the way. Like,
that was bad.
That's horrible. Yeah, just genuine things like that. And yeah, I do agree. That's a great point, Natalia, that like when I was dating, I didn't think this was going to be my future girlfriend or my future wife, or we're going to hook up. I just let the night casually have fun. And wherever the night took us is where we ended up with. But I didn't put any pressure on women. And that's the best approach. If you go in with expectations, you're going to obviously end the evening disappointed, or maybe put too much pressure on yourself and you're not yourself. You're kind of nervous. And one thing for sure, I know women, if a guy's nervous, you guys can tell. And it kind of makes the whole situation awkward and everything. It's like at school or in a meeting, someone's presenting in a meeting and they're nervous. Everyone can tell. It's like,
They did that little chuckle. I'm just like, what's funny?
Yeah, and then it makes me nervous.
And then everybody's nervous. It's like contagious, right? It's like, oh my God. Let me just kind of rewind here. So this is a big thing with young men: height, So I'm going to ask all of you, does height matter?
For me, to be honest.
You don't have to be 6 feet. I'm 5'4", so I was like at least a little bit taller than me.
Okay.
That's just me. I mean, there's some tall girls that like short guys.
Yeah.
Because you just gotta find your niche. It's not easy, but.
So, Annalisa or Daisy, does height matter?
I would say no. I mean, I'm 5 foot, so really a lot of people are taller than me, but I would just say as long as you're taller, I will say I do love like a 6 foot man, but you know, I'm open to anything though.
Okay. Okay.
I'm working on it. I'm an asshole for the longest. Okay. Yes. Girl,
be honest.
my
I want honesty
are gonna
here.
die over this part. This whole part right here. Let me tell you. Every time, all they start with, wait, how tall is he? It's always just like, wait, hold on. How tall is he? But again, I'm working on it. Okay. That's something I've been letting go of.
You can't let go of what you're attracted to. I mean, if that's your thing, that's your thing.
I'm working on it because I did get a nice reality check. I met a wonderful man earlier this year, the tallest man I'd ever met and dated. He was 6'7". We were casually cooking dinner, and oh my goodness, just halfway through, my back, my back was killing me just by, casual interactions, just dancing a little bit, looking up, very up.
I can relate to that though.
That had never been a thing. Like, what is wrong with me? Because I'm only 5'4", but I also like to wear heels. In my defense, guys, like I like to wear, my 6-inch, 4-inch heels, so that makes me closer to 6 foot. So, but again, I'm working on it.
Okay, and I wouldn't call yourself an asshole. I mean, if that's what you're attracted to, I mean, that's what you're attracted to. It's no big deal.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm 5'9", and I think that's fine. I mean, I did have women reject me because I was short, and I was like, okay, fine, it's not a big deal. But again, what's the percentage of guys who are over 6 feet tall? It's like very minimal, like maybe 10% of the entire world population is over 6 foot tall.
Yeah.
6 feet
Dang,
tall.
I did not know that.
Yeah.
Well, I also like to put it in like the other perspective, because I would hate for someone to dismiss me because of my freaking height or because I have a kid or my hair or whatever, but it's the reality. So again, I'm working on it.
Back around to the expectations.
Yeah. But I've also heard that there's kind of like a reverse to the height. There's a lot of tall women who are like 5'9", 5'10", maybe 6 foot who can't date guys because the tall guys want the short women. So they're stuck.
Yes.
You can be beautiful and tall and no one wants to date you. So again, there's a reverse there.
Yeah.
Never ending cycle.
Yeah. I want this, but this doesn't want me. Oh my God, what do I do? Right.
Exactly.
It's crazy. But yeah, I don't think anybody should compromise their standards. We all have tastes and preferences. I mean, we should stick to it. What about attractiveness? And again, I'm going to play devil's advocate here and push back a little bit. Well, what makes a man attractive? Outside of height, we've talked about that, but what makes a guy attractive?
Hygiene.
Hygiene?
Good hygiene.
Ooh,
I hear
good
that
one.
so
But at the
often.
same
Oh my
time-
God. I'm sorry. It just blows my mind that guys don't take care of themselves.
No, but at the same time, I feel like if this dude's like haircut, like, I don't know, there's something about every week, and then there's a difference with guys always having to do their eyebrows. Like, that's different. Some guys overdo it.
Like
And
pluck
it's
them
like-
or go to that place with the strings and pluck the eyebrows? What are you talking about?
Whichever. I'm just saying that there's
I don't know what that
guys
is.
that I feel like they put way more attention into themselves than I do sometimes. And I'm just like, okay. I have my down days, I'm like, just want to be in bed in PJs and
Isn't that called
fresh t-shirt,
metrosexuals?
fresh
Is that
shoes
still the
all the
term?
time. Your iron
Yeah.
press
I think
pants.
so.
Metrosexual.
Yeah. Okay. So some guys put a little bit too much effort there, but okay. But as far as attractiveness, anybody else? Be honest.
I think going to the gym, to be honest, just being very determined and like disciplined in that, because I literally go to the gym like every single day. So it's kind of just like you taking care of yourself. It could be physically, mentally, emotionally. Like the gym is for that, So just to kind of see that you're working on yourself, I like that.
Okay, but does he have to be cut and swole with a 6-pack like you see on social media?
Just for him to actually go and take care of his health.
Take care of himself. Okay. That's fair enough. Okay.
Someone that takes their job seriously, loves their job, takes, life and their job serious. That's so attractive to me,
But we're talking physical attributes, like what's attractive other than height.
Smile, my smile. My
Smile. Okay. Yeah.
What else?
Oh, hands. And I immediately think of that because that's the last date I went with a man. When I realized his hands, they looked so soft. I was like, oh, your hands look really soft.
So it's funny. The last episode I had, a woman said she was attracted to hands, but she liked the blue collar hands, like they were strong and she loved that. You like soft hands.
I mean, they looked nicer than mine, like so hydrated. They looked so hydrated.
Moisturized.
Yes, exactly. Hydrated and manicured. To my knowledge, he doesn't get manis or anything.
That's funny.
But he's a musician. So I don't know. Weren't rough. They were great.
Guitar player, right?
Guitar, bass, and keys.
Yeah. Most guitar players I know have great hands. I don't know why.
Really?
Yeah.
I did not know that. Did not know that was a thing.
And Lisa?
I have to kind of go off of what Alejandra said. There's this quote that I see a lot. It says, if you don't work out, we're not going to work out. Because I feel like she said, I feel like the gym, I mean, even if it's not the gym, even if you do some sort of other, activity, just something that shows that you're disciplined to yourself. Physically though, what Natalia said about teeth, or what did you say, your smile? Teeth. I pay attention to if you floss or not. This is kind of like a little bit physical, not physical, but I've noticed like with some men, I can smell their breath when they talk. And so that just kind of plays into the role of like the smile. Like I want you to have a good smile, but I also want that fresh breath. And then I'm sorry, I don't know what it is. I don't know if they can't smell it or what, but I smell it from them talking to me. And then lastly, I feel like, I'm a blue collared hands type of girl. Like I do like that rough look.
Yeah. Okay. I will say again, I'm bringing up myself again, but I had my teeth were horrible in my 20s. And then I got Invisalign I'm 47, by the way. And in my early 30s, I got my Invisalign. I got my teeth straightened out. And I noticed women reacted differently when I smiled. And in the dating world, I kept hearing that, you got a great smile. And they're white and they're straight. Oh my God. I'm like, thanks.
But you didn't hear it before?
What's that?
You had never heard it before, like prior to getting the Invisalign?
No, I mean, I got divorced like 5 years later. My wife never said anything, ex-wife. But no, but in the single world, it's amazing what a good smile can do. It can light up a room.
It really does.
Yeah. And I was like, wow, this is actually great. I better take care of these a little bit more. So, but again, hygiene. I've spoken to thousands of women and wives, guys, their breath stinks, their balls stink, like there's poor hygiene on their butt, all that shit. So it's like, you would think that would be common sense, but it's unfortunate that's not the case for some guys, especially if you want to make out. You have to have good breath and an inviting mouth. Does that sound weird? But a fresh
I don't know if that it's like kind of physical, kind of not physical, but yeah. I think smiles, like you said, they just make the biggest difference. They're the first thing you see when you talk to someone. You're going to look at their teeth, whether you like it or not.
Their eyes.
Yes.
And the eyes. I do like the eyes too.
Yeah. I will say that. I mean, I'm not going to lie. When I was single, and my wife's attractive, by the way. But again, I would look at the obviously the chest and the butt and all that. But if she had a great smile and a beautiful face, that sold me. It's like the smile does a lot. I don't know what it is. I got to look into that. But smiles definitely do a lot. What would you say? So again, everyone's mentioning heights. Again, your preference, and also going to the gym. But again, and Alicia, do you want the guy who's cut and shredded with the 24-inch biceps, or just a guy who goes and he's got a decent body, but he's not cut?
Yeah, I'm on both ends. Like I feel like I'll look either way. Like if they have a dad bod, I'm going to look. I feel like I look more for the face. I'm a big face person. So do I like their face? What is it called when the guys have the little shave right here, but it's not like a full, it's not a full beard or anything. Yeah. Like a goatee. I'm a sucker for those.
Okay.
I think, I really look at the face, the body, not too much. But I mean, it doesn't hurt either if they're shredded with abs and have a nice butt. Like, I'll go either way.
Have a nice butt. That's the first time I've ever heard that. Most girls say guys don't have
You
butts.
can tell when they work out and, it's muscular. That's what I mean by that.
Oh, okay. So guys' ass matters.
Let me clarify. Muscular.
When they wear Wranglers.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay. Hey, I like that. Again, I want honesty. So again, the more you share, the better for the audience and such. Okay. let's go to deal breakers. What are some deal breakers for you? Again, we can go alphabetical. Alejandro.
Deal breaker.
Yeah. Or breakers. Or anybody can go if you feel. I mean, we don't have to go alphabetical.
Yeah, I can't think of that one.
Okay, anybody want to go first? Go ahead, and then we'll kind of go along the line. Go ahead.
Being lazy. If they, nothing against smoking weed, but if you're doing it every day, all day, I cannot be with someone like that because they don't have any ambition, or they're,
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that makes sense.
I can't be with I can't get and be involved with someone who's gonna put me in a bad place, mentally, financially, put me in jail, or like just being with them. I don't want to be in between nothing, So that would definitely be like number one rule breaker. Like I can't be with those trappers. Like that's just not me.
Trappers?
Yeah, they call themselves trappers. Like they're all like the hood style, like
they're not thugs anymore, or like gangsters, or
they got
wanksters.
the cars and like they smoke weed all the time.
I'm gonna write that down. Trappers. That's a new word for the day.
It's like I said, it's the ego. I
Trappers. Okay, I'm gonna tell honey. Guess what I learned today? Trappers. Okay, who's next? Anybody? Deal breakers.
I guess I could go. I thought of one. Liars. After that, there's like no more trust. Like I can't because I'm gonna keep like being in my head, and I'm just gonna keep questioning that person, and it's kind of just like you kind of like failed in that, and I can't do liars.
That makes sense. Okay.
I feel like you don't find that out on the first date though. It takes a while. Because when you go into a relationship or you like them because they're good manipulators and they're gonna tell you everything you want to hear, and you're gonna then there's gonna be red flags, and then you ask them about it. Yeah. They're gonna lie and make you like mess with your head.
Yeah.
Eventually, your instincts never lie.
Yeah. That's why I tell everybody, if you go out dating, you're not going to know the real person that they are, at least for 6 months to a year. They're putting on the best version of themselves to get what they want. Yeah. So be very cautious with who you allow into your life, because it's just a show in the first 3 months. Nobody should be saying I love you in the first 3 months, because you don't know the hell. You don't know them from anybody. So that's just me. Old advice. Who else? Or were you done, Alejandro? I'm sorry.
I'll think of another one, because that's true though. That's like towards the middle. I'm like, I can't think right now. But liars.
Deal breakers for me would be someone that doesn't do pets. Gotta love cats and dogs, because I got a few. Same with kids. If you don't do kids, then that's cool. Just over there.
What if he's allergic to cats, though? What if he's allergic?
That has happened, and that saddens me, because technically this cat wasn't mine to begin with, but of course now he is, But yeah, that has unfortunately happened. One guy definitely did not continue to talk to me because I had a cat. Yeah. Which is fair.
I went to a girl's house and left, and my eyes were red, glossy. My skin was all patchy and red. She had like 3 cats. I was like, oh my God, I can't be in here.
Thankfully, I just have the one. Yeah. I just have the 3. One. And one was more than enough for him.
Like, any Zyrtec or anything? God. Who's next? Deal breakers.
Me. Deal breaker. So we're talking first date, right? Like we're talking early stages of dating?
It could be like you're talking the first 2-3 months, anything like that. It doesn't have to be the first interaction.
So deal breakers are love bombers. I feel like I was super naive up until last year. I had my first love bomber and he got me good. I feel like guys who just shower you right off the back, it's kind of hard to, gauge whether it's, serious or if they're just doing it, like you said, to get what they want, right? So, this guy went on specifically for a little while. He went a couple months of like the flowers and, having pumpkin painting nights and spooky baskets. And he went all out, he did like a whole little chef thing where he was serving the wine. And so, I fell for it. No, I was too. I fell for it. But I feel like, yeah, just coming right off the bat of like, I want this to be serious right away. I feel like, and because I'm looking for a relationship and I like this guy, that was something that I was open to. I was like, if he wants to be exclusive, like I'm okay with that. But it just turned out to be, something else. And then he ended up getting a girlfriend a month after me. So, I mean,
Wow.
really, yeah, it's just, I feel like something to watch out for sure.
Love bombers. Okay.
Love bombers.
Yeah. Did everybody go?
Yes.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be sure. Okay. Now let's get to deal breakers, but like tied to social media. Again, social media,
Like
I
high
get it.
following account. High
Yeah. Yeah. So let's go to that. In your opinion, has social media ruined dating? And if so, how?
gives people the illusion that they have a lot of options.
Ooh,
So they're
that's a good
not
answer.
really like, oh, I'm hanging out with this girl, but they're not actually, like I said, they're not actually getting to know her. She can be a really cool person, and you don't even know because you're like, oh, well, I got this other chick over here. She looks better. It just looks. It's a
So you see,
facade.
just because they're talking to them in like the chat, that means they have them. Is that what you mean, or they have?
No,
like,
I'm just saying like distractions. It's
Okay.
easier to welcome those distractions.
That's true. Mm-hmm.
So that's just simple as it has made an effect on dating. But also, I talked to some people who don't have any social media.
Mm-hmm.
So that has always made me like, is that true? Or maybe they just use one platform, but they don't have Facebook or Twitter or like anything, just Instagram.
Okay.
So, yeah. I feel like whatever they follow or the type of pages, accounts they follow shows like a reflection of what their interests are, who they are.
Yeah.
Person. So
Yeah.
I gotta expose a little bit.
Yeah, I learned
I
that
definitely
not the hard
agree
way,
with
but like if
Natalia.
he's following a bunch of like IG models and porn stars, it's like, dude, yeah. I didn't mean to
That's
cut you
gonna
off.
hurt you if you're really trying to find something serious. Yeah.
Yeah, the women are gonna look through that,
Advice
guys.
to the guys.
Okay. Alejandro, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Same thing with Natalia, like just kind of looking at their followers, like you could tell like who they know as a person, like high school people, that they actually have. And then there's some that you're like, okay, why are you following that? I feel like that's a big thing too. And then just like the way Natalia said too, like there's so many options. Like, oh, this person's not paying attention to me. Okay, I'm gonna go do this. Or even the hearting stuff. Oh, the hearting stuff is a lot too, because it's kind of just like you could see like where they're liking stuff too, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah, that's why we're
So
yeah,
it
we can see.
exposes you. Social media very much exposes that person a lot. So
Okay.
it kind of just shows who they are.
And what are they liking that bothers you the most?
I'm not gonna like hate on girls, right? Because I love girls too, but it's kind of just like those sexual pictures that the girls put to kind of lure the guys, and it's kind of just like, okay, you look cute, but I know the intention you have behind that, So
Yeah.
that kind of bothers me in a way, because it's kind of like you're seeing girls in a lustful way,
Yeah.
So that's a big thing for me.
Okay. So would you, if you were dating somebody and they were doing that, would you consider that like disrespectful?
Yes, I
You would, and that would be like a deal breaker for you. Like, hey, what's up with this?
I mean, it would be a communication thing and kind of seeing like what they think too, because I really don't know
Or
what
how
they
they-
would think if I were to say how they're gonna react too.
Yeah, how they handle your reaction if they're gonna gaslight you. Oh well, that's my cousin, or some.
It's always the cousin. It's always the cousin.
That's my cousin, or that's my friend from high school, or like
Oh God, no.
And that's where the liars come from.
Yeah.
That's my cousin. That's funny. Again, Annalicia, anybody? Daisy?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like what the girls are saying is true. Like I feel like going through their following count, I'm looking at that. I'm also too, if I have a gut instinct about someone in specific, I will, dig a little deeper. And most of the time I find exactly what I'm looking for. Like I can pick someone off TikTok and be like, that girl, and then they end up dating. Or, I look in the comments and they're flirting with the girl in the comments, or even just comments on their own personal page. Like I will look at that when I add a guy. And if it's someone that I'm considering dating, if you have 10 girls putting kissy faces under, then I'm gonna, kind of make an assumption that there's you're engaging with them to some extent, unless you're a celebrity. I don't know how you're getting 10 kissy faces. So yeah, I agree with them.
I agree with that too.
Well, before we move on, you bring up a great point, because again, what I discovered going out into dating world again was that when you meet somebody, that doesn't mean she's only talking to you. You're just one of a few guys that she's courting and dating. And I'm like, oh, this is the way the world is now. She's got a few other options. I guess I'll do the same thing. So if you're talking to a guy and you're kind of filtering out who you want to take seriously and so forth, right? Mm-hmm. That's kind of how it goes. Everybody's talking to somebody when you first meet them. That's just the reality of the dating world. And some guys can't take that. So I was like, okay, I'm adjusting to this. But so to your point, and so you see him and he's got all these kissy faces, but you just met him and you just start talking. That shouldn't bother you, right? I mean, because again,
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't necessarily cut them off, but I'm just a little more cautious of, know, how I'm moving. Because like you said, you're most likely not going to be the only option when you first start talking. I mean, that's the whole point of dating, right? To see who you like, But I think after a while, if we've been talking for a while, I'm going to expect to see some sort of difference in what you're posting. Because I mean, even if just like a story post, I've dated some guys where they'll post a selfie and then they have the little slider to rate them. And I'm like, okay, well, you're putting the slider with the heart. I know it's like that was a little older, but the guys used to do it. I'm like, you're putting that for a reason, right? Like you want the validation from multiple of your followers to slide and put yes all the way 100, So stuff like that is going to make me a little more cautious of how I'm moving with you.
Okay. There's a slider.
Yeah, I don't know if they still have it, but you know what I'm talking about? I know that they're nodding and they'll put like a little heart eye emoji, and then girls can go in or guys can go in and move the slider to rate them.
Yeah, it's still on there.
I've seen that with women, but not with guys.
No, I did. Some guys who do it. And that to me, I'm like I said, I won't cut you off cold turkey. I'm going to, still fill it out because most of the time, like I'm probably going to be trying to date others too. But it's definitely like a slight red flag.
Okay. Natalia, I just want to make sure. Did you put mute?
Yeah.
Okay. I just want to make sure. Did I do that? Have you been on mute this whole time? Yeah. Okay. So if you need to go on mute, go ahead. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to. I just wanted to bring that up. Okay. So Daisy, I think you haven't gone yet. So social media. Has it ruined
I don't really have any experience with it. This kind of ties to one of many rules I have with this single mom and dating. My kid doesn't know anything about dating world, doesn't know anything about that. And so same thing with social media. As mentioned, I usually meet on dating apps. I have met out in the wild through friends, in that sense as well. But with me, I do not like to share social medias. Like, unless we've been talking for some time, then I will allow you to have access to my social media. For one, like majority of it is going to be my kid. I'm not the female that has a bunch of selfies on there. I mean, in my early 20s, yes, that was my social media. But now that's just not the case. It's my life, my kid. And kind of the same thing for the guy too. I'm really not that interested. And that was kind of the same thing with my ex-husband when I met him and being married to him. At least for me, if I'm going to be with someone, I know like they're my person. I can trust them. I don't have to worry and all of that. Like that was never a thing with my ex-husband, because if that was the case, I wouldn't have been married to him, Mm-hmm. So that's how I go into dating these days, like when it comes to social media. So I'm always curious, so I was very curious listening to everybody's stories, like how am I going to be if and when that time comes? Because again, guys, it's been 5 years. I've not had a boyfriend. I mean, I've dated obviously, but have I had an actual boyfriend? No. Has it gone that far to get on someone's social media? No.
Yeah. So I like that. You're approaching it with an old school approach, like not social media. You kind of meet them in the wild and kind of go in there. So I like that. That's pretty cool.
Because I also don't want to expose myself too. Because aside from the child, like you get to know me on my social media. Like, the stuff that I post, it's personal. Like, not everybody has access to that.
Yeah. Do you consider it a red flag if he doesn't post pictures of you and him together on his profile?
Depends on how far along. Funny you say that.
Let's say a month or so. Let's say a month or two.
No, because I'm not posting him either.
Have you had guys insist, hey, why haven't you posted me yet? What's up with that? Or why haven't I been on your stories? Has I been
maybe the dates? Like, why don't you show that you don't have to show my face? Why don't you show that you're with someone doing something? Like you're seeing someone. You don't have to show that. You don't have to show me. You don't have to show me. You can show my foot, my hand, or something. You're just with someone.
Okay.
Yeah.
The amount of times family and friends have gotten excited thinking they see something that they don't on my stories, guys.
Yeah. Like, congratulations. Like, what? This is just a date. What are you talking about? Yeah. It's
girlfriends right on the other side. Bestie of 10 years. Yes, guys.
And the reason I ask that is because there have been some women that have mentioned that if he doesn't at least post a picture of me or where we're at, that's a red flag because maybe he's got other women that are watching him and he doesn't want to let the world know that he's, I guess, seen somebody.
After a certain amount of time and time spent together, absolutely. There's a difference between like you just met someone casually, barely seeing each other. Y'all are both seeing other people. Okay, yeah, not necessarily going to share them on your story. Maybe on your story, not on your actual feed. But when you've been courting with someone like full on hanging with all of the groups of friends, family members and like that, and months go by and nothing, it's when there's a bunch of pictures around and pictures of y'all aren't the ones that are being posted, but other ones are with other people and friends, that's going to start to speak volumes. That I give advice to my friends on those situations. That says a lot.
Okay. I don't know if anybody was going to go next after that.
Does anybody follow the 90-day rule?
What's the 90-day rule?
The 90-day rule, it's like, basically you like analyze how their approach has been or like how the relationship has been going to see, okay, is this really going to go anywhere or not? Like, do I invest more or not? And that's when you start questioning. Maybe, I don't know, it naturally should be progressing by the 90 days is what I believe. So if it's not, to me, it just brings up like questions like, is there someone or is there not? Should I just be like analyzing a little bit more? Maybe that's a toxic habit. But I think after 90 days, you should know if you like someone. And that other person should know if they like you enough to actually want to be with you.
That's interesting. Okay, what do y'all think?
And by 6 months, you should be like, okay, yeah, I like this girl. But if it's like two separate, people don't really have time. If the schedule's not lining up, maybe it takes a little bit longer, like years or so. But I think definitely after 90 days, you should know if you're compatible.
Okay. I have something to say about that, but what do y'all think? Anybody have any 2 cents on that?
Out of the 5 years, over 5 years that I have been single, there was one man in Austin, Texas that I dated. And sure enough, we hit the 3-month mark and we were both just like, all right, he's not going to move to San Antonio. I'm not going to move to Austin. And we ended amicably. We were both in tears, but we just knew it's like, all right, we've gotten to know each other. We're getting closer. Like, what's going to happen? Because end of day, we were both really respectful of each other's time, and we did mean something to each other. So it was a rough conversation, but Natalia, I couldn't agree with you more. Like 3 months, by 3-month mark, you should know like, okay, yeah, this is worth pursuing or not.
Yeah.
Okay. And Alicia, Alejandra, anybody? You have anything to say to that?
I feel like she's right. Like men, I don't know. I could be wrong, right? I'm not a man, but I just feel like men know. And like after the 3 months, like I watched this podcast and they said that men categorize women into 3 categories. And I know it was like one, they decide like men are are friends with women for a reason. And so it's like they find you attractive, they want to date you, or they find you, you have something that you can offer them. And I can't remember the third one, but I feel like that kind of plays into this. Like after 3 months, if you don't want to be with me, then like if you wanted to be with me, you would know. And if you didn't, then I feel like that's a good amount of time. But like she said, it does depend on how much you're seeing each other, what your life is looking like, how many dates are you going on? I mean, that's all something to take into consideration.
Okay.
But with social media, I wanted to go back to that a little bit.
Sure.
My whole rule on that is keep it private until it's permanent. So I know
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah. So I know you're saying like, some girls get mad about guys posting, but I feel like if it's not official, I'm not going to be mad about that.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe some girls are like, well, aren't we official? Why haven't you?
We are official and you're still not posting.
Like,
if you're official and you're not posting, that's a little.
Yeah, that's a little red flag right there.
Okay. Let me rebuttal to the 90-day thing. Honestly, I think when I was out there dating, I was like a dating madman because again, I just wanted to have fun. I found that most relationships, well, I wouldn't even call them that, but people that I was dating, it didn't last more than 2 months, maybe 3 months, because that's when it usually imploded. Somebody tried to make something out of nothing. There's the avoidant personalities, like they would make something like, well, what about this? I'm like, it's not a big deal. But that was like the average lifespan, 3 months. So
that's what I'm saying. By 3 months, you should know. Is it going anywhere or not?
And the dopamine levels had gone down, and we were like, all right, it ran its course. Or an ex-boyfriend showed up and took them back. That's another thing that ties to social media. I found out that if you post your date, like let's say you're talking to somebody, you're like a month or 2 months in, she looks gorgeous, you're at a bar or whatever, and you posting her and tagging her, there are some psycho exes out there that are creating phantom profiles and looking at where she's going and where she's at. Oh, she's happy. She's happy. I better call her and get her back. Hey, let's give it another chance. And then boom, they become distant. Everything all right? No, I'm fine. I just need some space. Like what? And then boy, they go back. That was the cadence of events. And I'm making fun of it, but that's what happened many times. So I have a rule never to post anybody until at least 6 months or maybe a year. Like with my wife, I didn't post her for a year. And
I was gonna say that there's a lot of people out there that are just gonna like self-sabotage you, and then you decide to be like, oh well, let me go back to the past, and it's kind of just like, oh yeah, that's why I'm like, oh, I wouldn't post anyone until the way official, but like official,
Yeah.
Yep.
Y'all, I'm gonna be that me. I'll post them on my wedding day. That'll be me.
Oh yeah.
Me too.
For as long as it's been, everybody can wait. They can wait a little. They can wait till the wedding day.
Yeah. And real quick, I want to go to Annalisa, what you said about men put women in categories. I think women do too. And correct me if I'm wrong. So going back to what you said, I think men do. There's the hookup category, the friends with benefits, and then there's the hey, there may be something there, and we treat every one of them different. The one that there may be something there, we treat with a little bit of more respect. In other words, there's no sex on the first date, and we're just more intuitive to them and attentive to them. And you feel it. It's not just sexual. If all he's bringing up is just sexual things, he's not really into you. He wants you, but he's not into you. So there are categories, definitely. But I also found, again, I had a lot of female friends out there in the single world, and you kind of do the same thing. There's a one that gives you validation. There's a one that takes you on the concerts. There's the one with the money. There's the funny one. And then there's one with the devil dick. And so y'all had, again, this is not me making up. This is what y'all told me. So again, y'all have the same thing. So I think there are people who again, have access to a lot of other resources. We all categorize what we want from them. Am I wrong?
Yeah. Absolutely. No, I feel like you're right. Like we do it. I feel like we do it whether, we realize it or not.
Yeah. You're going to a concert in Dallas? Oh, with him again? Oh, okay. Yeah, there's the concert guy.
Okay, but I will say,
because I'm right.
But I'm looking at it from the perspective of like, if I'm dating someone, like I can kind of tell where it's going. Like just as like an example, there was this one guy who I matched with on a dating app. This was earlier this year, invited me to coffee. We go to get coffee. I'm like, okay, this is a date. We obviously find each other attractive. We match for a reason. Then it ends up turning into, hey, I want to tell you about my business and how you can help me with my business. And then that was our meetings forward. So I feel like I got put into that category of like, oh, she has some services to offer for my future business. Like, and that's where I'm at now. And then I found out he's dating someone.
Love that. Oh, wait.
Networking.
Well, yeah, I know everyone keeps telling me that. They're like, hey, I mean, if you see him as a business partner, keep it. I'm like, I don't know.
Opportunity. Yes.
Yeah, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of friends of mine who are business owners, and they would purposely reach out to beautiful women on IG or whatever and say, hey, can you wear this shirt? You're like, here's my energy drink. Can you post this when you're at the gym or something? And I'll give you 20%, you know, whatever. Yeah. So there are guys out there who do that for the marketing piece and all that. But also I want to add, I believe as well that men and women can be friends. If there's attraction, no.
They can't. You said, right?
And again, I'm not speaking for the women's side, but I'm talking about guys. If we are genuinely attracted to you, you can't be friends. And if there's a mutual attraction, speaking from experience, you can be cool, but then that one day you're out, you're drinking, and then something happens, 100%. And then before you know it, the friendship's over, or it's different the next day.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I mean, I don't want this like up, but what my ex always told me stuff about that because I grew up having guy friends, but I just feel like maybe I'm a little naive about it because I have a guy best friend and I respect him and his partner. They've been together for like 8-9 years now. I've never have seen him in that way, nor do I think he would see me in that way. So okay. I feel like we can be friends because we sort of like outsource each other's. We see like get advice from each other, different point of view and stuff.
Huh?
You know, he gives me the hard truth that I don't want to hear, and I tell him when he's messing up. You know.
Well, it sounds like a brother-sister relationship.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't.
So maybe there are some exceptions like yours. Like you can be friends. There's that one exception, but for the most part,
I feel like new relationships. I feel like if it's already have been established and from adolescence, I was like, I feel like that would be different.
I can agree with that, especially if you grew up together and all that. I can maybe understand that, but again, I'm a guy. I know how we think. If we have a hot female friend and she's single, we're just waiting.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is that why they keep? Because I mean, I feel like I matched with guys on dating apps like in the past couple years, and the ones that I have met in person that I eventually tell them like, hey, we're better off as friends. I'm still like they still talk to me. They'll still ask me like, how are you? You know, so that's what. Yeah, but I mean, I don't feel like that, but I guess that's how they think.
I got no reason to lie to you. I'm to be being 100% honest. If you're an attractive woman and hey, it didn't work out now, but maybe later. So we'll
wait for the opportunity.
We'll like each other's stories. We'll hang out every now and then, and I'll just wait. That's how we're wired. I'm not lying.
Interesting.
Yeah. So we can't be friends. And again, exceptions to like yours, but again, we can't. Real quick, going back to the dating space, the first date, is sex on a first date, does it ruin any possibility? Like if anything serious, like what is your opinion on that?
Me personally, because like I said, I'm all about morals. I feel like it would, for the fact that sex is an emotion that you put towards someone, and it's not someone that you should just meet on the first date and then it kind of just, like I said, backfires and you guys don't talk. But I've heard a lot of stories out there where the 1 in the million, whatever, ends up being where they get married and stuff.
Yeah.
But I'm like, no, I'm not gonna just settle for that story, you know, like for what? There's no reason to, and I don't feel like I would be okay with it. You know, I feel like the next day you're gonna end up feeling like, oh, I regret that. Like that was not me, you know? But that's me.
Okay. And Lisa?
I feel like what she said, I think it's, what's that movie? Is it the He's Just Not That Into You, that rom-com? I don't know if you've seen it, where they talk about, you haven't?
No.
Oh, well, they talk, in the movie, they talk about how most women, there's only like 1% that's actually the exception. And that's the, you know, the one night stand that turns into something. So I feel like for the most part, I mean, me personally, I'm the same way. Like that's not something that I'm wanting on the first date because I want to date with intention. And I feel like, I mean, not to say that, you know, if you do that you're wrong, but I just think for me, I want to take it slow. I want to get to know each other because you're skipping to level 100, you know, once you're doing that. So it kind of takes away from, you know, the whole passion, the tension, the build up. I mean, that adds to everything. So I feel like you're kind of taking away the fun. So I would say if you do have it, and also too, I've heard from guys, which you can correct me if I'm wrong, that a lot of them kind of gain an impression on how a woman is if they are willing to do that the first date. Not all of them, but some of them are like, you know, that kind of just gave me the impression that you wanted casual, that you wanted friends with benefits, and then it leads down that path.
Yes. Absolutely. I've said this on many, I don't know if you guys have heard my podcast or not, but I'll say this all the time, that what shocked me in 2016 going out and dating again was how sexually aggressive women were in making the first move. I'm like, what? It's not like the 90s. I got to take you out on a few dates. It was like, boom, first day after John Wick 2 in the car. It's like, wow. And like she drove, we were in back of an apartment complex and right here, I'm like, okay, fine. So that shocked me. That shocked the hell out of me. So, but yeah, I think it does. Like you're having fun that evening, but like you said, the next morning you wake up and it's like, I don't want you to think of me weird that way. I'm like, okay, whatever.
Yeah.
I've never done anything like before. Like, sure, whatever. Like, whatever. But it does change it. And it does kind of like paint. We do get the impression, like, usually if she's really frisky, maybe just touchy with us, like, okay, she just wants to have fun. That's fine. I don't disrespect her. I'm not going to think any less of her. This is just what she wants. And hey, we'll go with that approach. That's fine. But yeah, we get a vibe. And I think there's a vibe that everybody gives off on the first date and you can tell.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Daisy?
I am indifferent. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Well, I mean, definitely. Well, to what the girls were saying, to each their own. If you're going to do that, that's on you. I'd like to think it's gauged by the individuals themselves. If it's going great, go for it. If it's not, hold your ground. You have, your morals, you're already thinking ahead. Oh, tomorrow I'm going to feel guilty, whatever the case may be. Regardless, I feel like the end result will be the same, that each individual, they're going to stick around if they truly wanted to, and vice versa, regardless if it happened night 1, night 2, night 10, I'd like to think, but there are exceptions to the rules as well.
Yeah.
So yeah. And yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going to say something
Yeah.
else. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
And Natalia, did you have anything? I'm sorry.
I would just say, agree that it definitely does change everything. It doesn't matter what two people want. Obviously some women date with intentions, some just having fun. I personally think it's a red flag if a guy's overly sexual, coming on to me too strong.
Yeah.
I just feel obviously preyed on. And so it turns me off. I'm just like.
Does that happen often on dates? Like, how often would you say that guys make that strong approach?
It's not necessarily like a date, but I have gone out, in public or like a little house party. There was this one particular guy who has that strong, masculine energy.
Yeah.
The little F-boy face, he looks good, whatever. So I know he carries himself like he's. So then his friends try egging him on, trying to hype him up to me. Like, oh, he has a big house. I'm like, okay, I care. As if what is that going to do for me? I really don't care. I need someone who's going to pay my bills, who's going to stick around. I don't care. And at the end of the night, he ended up walking away with the easiest chick. So to each their own. I mean, just that's what they want to do. That's on them. But
yeah,
I can curve a guy coming at me like that. I would like to have a better, people have a better idea of me. So I'm not going to give in that easily. Okay.
That makes sense. And again, I think nowadays, especially, you have to be extra careful with, pregnancies and things like that, or, contraceptives. It's better to be safe than sorry. I mean, I think we all know of somebody out there who had that fun with that one guy or girl, and then they ended up getting pregnant, and now they have a horrible co-parenting relationship or something, and it's just living hell. So, God, so yeah, you be careful. If you're an adult, be fine, but just take care of yourself. Be responsible. Okay. A lot of my clientele, there's also a big majority of them that are, men and women who are getting divorced, right? They've been married 8 to 10 years or maybe 20, and they're going out into the dating world. Okay. So what advice would you give somebody re-entering the dating world after many years out of it? Go ahead.
Take some time to yourself. You need to figure out what you like, your hobbies, invest it into yourself because you spent all this time sharing your time with someone else. Figure yourself out, find out what you want, and you'll find someone with the same hobbies, meet them in church, meet them in a better place mentally. Like, don't just rush it. Yes, you're lonely. You can go out with your friends. That's what your friends and family are for, to make you not like so lonely. You don't have to rush into it and have those one night stands. You don't have to do none of it.
Yeah.
Carry yourself well. If
Gotcha.
you want to be the man your future partner is going to admire you to be.
Good one. Okay. Alejandra?
I think that's a little hard just because, I mean, it just depends on how things ended, because, I mean, like the way she says, you have to take care of yourself mentally and maybe emotionally you're not ready. And a lot of people out there are really not ready and just decide to jump onto the next. And it's kind of just like you're going to go into the same cycle. So it's kind of just like, hey, like pause a little bit, see who you are as a person. And just hang out with family, friends, go out, have fun. Because I feel like being in a marriage, like I'm not saying compromising yourself, because most marriages, right, don't really like for them to go out. So it's kind of just like, well, go out and explore what's out there, because you don't even know what's been out there,
Mm-hmm.
So I kind of go off based on Natalia said too.
Alicia, Daisy?
I would say just buckle up. It's a whole different ball game. I feel like I talked to my parents about it. I talked to my mom, and just like the dating stories back then to now. I mean, I feel like social media is a thing now. So if you've been married for a long time and now you're divorced, like you have to take that into consideration. I would say probably, obviously let yourself be happy, but be cautious. Not everyone has the best intentions. Like you said, it takes months to get to know someone, so you don't really know. I feel like, especially if you're fresh out of a relationship, I can see how easy it is to want to grasp onto the first person that seems, wonderful. But really just taking the time to consider your options. Like they said, get to know yourself, find out what you're looking for, and always ask yourself. One of the things I love to like ask myself is, do I like them? And not worry so much about, do they like me, because you're kind of seeing, if this person is a good fit for you.
Okay. That's a good one. Okay. Daisy?
I love what everyone said. Couldn't agree more.
Oh,
To add,
okay.
I would just say, no, everybody nailed it for the most part.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then can I add something from a personal experience?
Sure.
So my dad, he's 52. He's dated after, my mom passed when I was younger. And I feel like he just gets too attached too quick. He don't even really know the girl, but he's already like focusing on them and ignoring us, like his kids and stuff.
Oh my God.
So his priorities get all mixed up just because of his emotions or thinking with the wrong head, maybe. I don't know. And he just ends up over giving to the first person that's giving to him, giving him attention or something. And it's just like, dude, like, chill out. Or just wait, just be single, like, go on a few dates. Why do you have to, like, I don't know. Like, after 3 months, he's with another chick, and they're, like, together, and then, like, oh, we have a problem. And I'm like, well, you never really took the time to get to know her, but you're going to stick it out.
Be a little patient. Tell him I said be a little patient. Have him listen to my podcast. I'll help him out.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah, well, he's still with this chick, so we'll see. Maybe when he gets back out there or something.
Before we get to the viewer questions, I know we've got about 30 minutes left. I wanted to ask locally based San Antonio. So how's the dating scene in San Antonio right now? Like, anybody want to go first? Let's call out San Antonio.
Everybody knows everybody. Yeah. I feel like that is the biggest thing. A lot of times, it's a lot of locals. I feel like if I match with someone on the dating app, I'm going to go to their page and I'm going to have 10 girls. And chances are if I ask one, hey girl, how do you know so-and-so? It's, oh my gosh, we used to talk, we used to date. This happened. I've gotten a lot of DMs too, just like, hey girl, I see you follow this guy. Do you know him? And it's usually all connected through dating apps. So I feel like we're a big city, but a small city at the same time because everyone knows everyone. So I feel like I don't know. It is kind of a turn off in dating because, you know, I don't want to date someone my friend dated and vice versa. But, you know,
And they probably
it's
slept
a lot
together
more
or they hooked up. It's like, oh, God.
That's a whole nother thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Who's next? Anybody?
I can say I have that problem only because I'm from Brownsville. I mean, I've been here, right? But I went to UTSA and graduated.
Oops.
But the fact that, like, I didn't really, like, I didn't get to know anyone. I was just like, I'm here for school and that's it. So for me, it's kind of just like, I don't know who this is. But then again, I haven't really, like, I guess you could say explored over here anymore because I moved away to Live Oak. So I don't really know anyone.
Okay.
So that's the good part.
That's a good thing.
I don't want to know.
Don't, the less you know, the better.
Yeah. Daisy?
It's been okay. I'll get off and on periodically. I recently bought my first house within the last year. So
Congrats.
I took a hard pause. Thank you. So I took a hard pause, but recently got it back. And it's kind of like what I was saying. It's like, he's interested, but I'm not, or I'm interested, he's not, or not interested in what I want, more serious commitment versus casual and, you know, fun and games. So,
yeah.
And I'm from California, so I'm not necessarily from here. I've been here a while, but thankfully no run-ins or anything.
Okay. But going back to Elisa's part, yeah, I remember I'll be talking to my guy friends like, hey, I'm taking her out. He's like, oh, I dated her last month. I'm like, oh, God. That's the one you were telling me about? I'm like, oh, God. Okay. Oh,
yeah,
God.
everyone's friends with everybody. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like you date one and then they're part of a friend group and the rest are off limits now. So it's a whole thing.
Yeah. Well, going back to dating apps, what's the dating app that best works for you? That kind of is a segue to my next question, but what's the best dating app that works?
Okay, me and Hinge are not besties. Like I feel like I can't really navigate it well. I don't know why. I've had the most dates off of Bumble. And especially now that the men can message you. I don't know how they do that because I thought it was only women first, but I've gotten men who will message me first. And that's got me a couple of dates. But like I said, in the past year, honestly, the last date I think I had was like in April. And then after that, it was just straight pen pals. But Bumble's typically the best one.
Did you say pen pals? Is that a new app?
No, I'm just saying they want to write. They always want to just text me.
Oh, that's right. Going back to the word.
My pen pals.
Yes.
I have trappers and pen pals on my words. On my words for the day here. Yeah. Hinge was good. For me, Hinge and Match worked best. I met my wife on Hinge right before COVID.
I've heard a lot of success stories off of Hinge, but I even have a friend who got married off of that, but I guess I don't know how to work it right. I feel like I should know how to work the technology, but I don't know. I can't get into it because it makes you like pick an area, right, of where you kind of stay. And then I never know like who I'm getting because I think Bumble's just a miles radius. So it's like 2 miles away, 3 miles away. So it's just easier for me. I can kind of gauge like more or less where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah. I never had any success with Bumble. I only tried it once. No one ever reached out to me because at the time women were the ones who initiated the conversation. Yeah. And I never got any initiations, no conversations. I'm like, all right, I'm out of here. But
yeah, I haven't tried Tinder or anything.
Tinder was I think they would call it the hookup app. And it was kind of true. Plenty of Fish I stayed the hell away from. Like, no, that wasn't for me at all. But that takes me to my next question. Here's viewer questions here. Here's a segment, all right? Justin Blades is asking, what do they look for in dating profiles, bios specifically? Anybody can go first.
Wholesome stories that are telling to you, like childhood memories.
Okay.
You know, or like the simple pleasures, like truly list what are your simple pleasures, like clean sheets, fresh cup of coffee in the morning, whatever, you know, like that really speaks to you, to your character.
Okay.
Is what I look for every single time. And then the photos.
Okay. Well, on the photos, what kind of photos are you looking for?
Not selfies, that's for damn sure. No toplessness, no. Oh, no.
But what if they're cut and they have nice muscles and everything? I mean, don't women like that? I'm just being sarcastic.
I'm not, I'm not necessarily attracted to that. And the same thing with holding the fish.
I was going to say the fish photo.
Yeah. That's what he loves. Come on. All right. But okay, good answer. Anybody else?
Your question was just what do you look for in dating apps?
Yeah, this is what right? Justin Blades is asking here on Facebook.
Or to stand out, right?
Yeah, what are you looking for in dating profiles? And he says bio specifically, but let's go ahead and throw in the pictures as well.
I think immediately I'm looking at, well, at least I know for Bumble, it says what they're looking for relationship wise. So it'll say like long term, short term. A lot of guys have just casual fun. And then they follow up in their bio, just wanting a date for Halloween, just wanting a date for this. And I'm like, okay, that's not my guy. So that's something that I look for in pictures. I am gonna look to see, of course, like I love fun pictures. If you're out dancing, I love two-stepping, so that's something I'm looking for. Mm-hmm. I will say a red flag, I guess, that I look for is when they have a girl next to them and they block the girl's face out, and it's like a big square. I'm like, okay, or they have the girls hovering over them, and I really want to know what goes through their brain when they're uploading that, but yeah, that's what I'm like.
And then in the bio, they're like, oh, the last pic is me and my sister.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Or my mom. That's me and my mom.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough. Okay. I think Alejandro, have you gone yet?
I would say the way Daisy said, like just speaking your character, what you like to do, what you're working on, I guess on yourself. Like I like when people are building themselves. And then picture wise, I mean, every now and then I like to see where they're working at. Like, they'll post a picture of where they work at. And I'm like, okay. Like, uniform. I'm like, okay. So that's good.
You like uniforms, don't you?
Yeah, uniform.
Who doesn't?
Be careful with that. Oh, my God. Be careful with that. Cops, firemen, army.
Sad truth. Sad truth, man.
Remember, I help people who are going through a divorce here. I mean, come on.
Yeah. But that's me on that part.
Okay. All right. So fair enough. Okay. Natalia, anything you look for in a bio or on dating apps?
Maybe them at least sharing some insight of who they are, like what they do to their day to day. I mean, what they do for a living. Like, I feel like all that's important to know because you don't want to just be like just the 2 pics and there's no bio. And
lazy effort. Yeah.
It's like, okay, like, do you even want to be here? I was like,
yeah. So. I always coach guys, like if you download, Tinder on Sunday and then you have a profile up on Monday, it's going to fail. You need to put some effort in the photos, like a full body photos. Again, for women, I'm pretty sure you've been told full body photos. The guys want to see how you look. They all have to be recent, 6 months or less. Nothing from like when you're in high school, things like that. And the tone, and again, I'm giving you this tips as well. The tone of your bio, Justin, has to be warm and at least welcoming and charming. If you're coming off very assertive, angry and bitter or hate women or saying all these things like don't waste my time, no one's gonna like you, man. They're gonna stay away. So again, have it at least welcoming and throw some charm in there, man. Make them laugh.
Or like just those guys who just straight up say, oh, no kids, like, well, we didn't ask, but that would have been something to ask eventually. Like, don't put out too much, but don't like disqualify yourself.
Next question is from Juan. He asks, age range, are they willing to date? Like, who's oldest or too young for you guys? Who's too old and who's too young?
I feel like for me, I've always said, I'm not going to say that age is a number, but it's more of like, if they're younger than me and they still are not established to be like, okay, we can get married and stuff, then I think those are the ones that are too young for me. Because I'm like, okay, well, you still got to figure out your own stuff. But even then, also, like, the people that are older than me, they're not even established. So it's kind of just, like, seeing where they are in their lives, it's going to matter more than the age.
Okay, so no age is like a requirement for you. It's just based on what they've done with themselves.
Yeah, like where they're at as far as, like, creating a future with you already.
Okay. All right. What's the oldest guy you've ever dated, if you don't mind me asking?
Oldest, 33.
And you're how old? I'm sorry?
30.
Okay. Not too. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And Alicia?
I feel like, I agree with her. I think for me, it's harder to kind of find, I guess, I'm not too sure what the right word is, but like, I guess, really just relate to like the 21 era, even though I'm 27. I'm not saying I'm the oldest person, but I feel like they're just in a different phase, especially with like the partying and, going out, and it's just a different lifestyle than when you like, I feel like once you hit 25 and up, your frontal lobe does develop and you're kind of like, okay, my life's a little bit different now. So I will say I try to steer away from a little bit in the lower 20s. Just that's a little too young for me. I would prefer like a 25, maybe like the minimum age, and then oldest. Really, I feel like it would depend on how well and how compatible we are. I've tried to date like a 36-year-old, but I felt like I wasn't up to his level. So I just kind of backed out of that situation and was like, I'm not there yet. At the time, I was 21. So, I mean, it was different. And I was like, he was like, I'm looking for a wife. And I was like, I'm 21, I don't know what I'm doing with my life. So stuff like that. I feel like it's just kind of gauging where we're at.
Okay. Natalia or Daisy, go ahead.
I'll go. Basically, I don't think I can go 2 years younger or over 6 years older than me. And I think what Annalisa said was very true. Like dating somebody in different age categories, they're very much in different places. Like I don't think, even if I was dating someone a year or 2 years older than me, if they do have a lot more going for themselves, I'm gonna be like, oh, I'm making me insecure just because I maybe can't meet them to where they aspire to be because of my current situation or something. And because I have a kid, I feel like it's more constraining. But definitely not doing 2 years younger.
Not 2 years younger. Okay, so there's nothing to...
Nothing, 10 years and over, and I can't.
Okay.
I can't date someone in their 40s.
Mm-hmm.
It just feels wrong.
It feels wrong. Okay, it's your preference, yeah. But it's funny because like the other podcast, some of them did want 10 years, 15 years older because the maturity and the establishment and just a different world is what I've heard. But Daisy, go ahead.
Kind of the same thing. Asshole about the whole height. Kind of the same thing with age. I'm a little picky. It's kind of the way I was raised, the old school Hispanic, the way my mom and dad raised me, is older. My ex-husband was 4 years older than me. Mm-hmm. I only ever dated older. It wasn't until the divorce that I gave someone my age or someone a little bit younger than me a chance. Never worked out. Ideally, it is going to be someone older for me. And it ties back to what the girls were saying as far as, someone that's established, especially me too. I'm a little bit on the older side, mm-hmm. Married, divorced, have a kid.
You're 33, right?
I am. Yeah, I'm a little bit older. I'm older.
None of you are old, by the way.
I feel it. And so, I don't know. I feel like I gravitate more towards an older man simply because of just, where I'm at. And again, the Hispanic in me is just like, yeah, you want them older because they're more established. They'll take care of you and all the things. Yeah.
Okay. The next question is, why do women only want bad boys?
Oh, no, that was...
Please, anybody can go first?
I think it's bad boys, but I think it's more of we like to be ignored, or I don't know what it is. Like, it triggers us to be like, well, I want a challenge to, like, try to fix him.
Like why are you ignoring me?
Yeah, exactly. So I think
honesty.
For me...
I love honesty.
I think for me, it's more of like, I'm going to try to fix you too. Like, why are you being mean to me, But at the same time, I know it's going to go bad because obviously it's not the right thing to do. So, I don't know. It's a trauma thing, I guess you could say.
It's an ego thing. What do you mean you don't want me? Why wouldn't you want me?
So let's stay here for a second. So is it that he's not giving you enough attention, or is he just not being needy? Like, what do you mean? Like,
I think
can you
it's
elaborate?
The not being needy in a way where...
The nonchalance.
Okay. What is it about being nonchalant that you see as a challenge?
You try to convince yourself that, oh, they're going to like me. Or like once they get to know me,
mm-hmm.
It'll be different. I don't know.
Oh my God.
Or I'll be the one. I'm going to be the one. I don't know.
Okay.
But no, I guess it's just the adrenaline, just the hormones. the confusion,
Yeah.
the delusion.
Okay.
The Delulu.
And Alicia, Daisy, do you have anything on that or anything you want to add to that? Because I got tons of
Wait,
questions. I kind of want to dig deeper here.
Can you repeat the question again?
Why
I'm
do
sorry.
women like bad guys?
I don't know. And my friend, my coworker kind of put me in place the other day. She was like, I think that you like a little bit of that. Like, as much as you like to play, like, oh, I want a nice guy. She was like, that's what you're attracted to. And I don't know what it is. I think, like they said, it's just kind of like the ego for sure. It's like an ego thing, trying to get their attention. But I don't know, like something about getting little breadcrumbs like here and there kind of just keeps you right there, like wanting to know more. Like, like I think like Natalia said, like just wanting them to, you're like, oh, you're gonna like me, like you're gonna regret this, you're gonna want me or something. It's just that thought process. But I don't know. I feel like I'm aware of it though. Like I sometimes will know like, okay, this guy, he doesn't want me. That's what's drawing me into him. But then I have this nice guy. So I feel like, I don't know, I'm kind of self-aware with it. It definitely goes on though.
And again, I guess I think I have the answer already in my head, but I'm asking for the audience. So like, why is that though? Like if you have a guy, because again, everybody says, especially here on women, like I want a guy who's attentive, this and that, and this and that. You have a guy that's attentive. It's texting you, but then you have the other guy who's being nonchalant and indirect, but you want that. So explain to the audience, like, why is that?
Well, I guess I'm going to put this question back on you.
Okay.
Do you think it's because we are also maybe somewhat emotionally unavailable ourselves? And so that's what we're finding attractive in other people?
Possibly. I also think that
it's easier and more entertaining that way.
Yeah.
I think everybody wants a challenge. And I think women, especially if you're beautiful, you've been told and pursued your entire life. And, you've had guys approach you since you were, 15, 16, 17 in high school, whatever. So you've always had that. And when somebody who is good looking is just not attentive and just not disrespecting you, but just not pursuing you, that's like, what's going on here? Like, what am I doing wrong? What happened? What's up with him? I think women also love mystery. So
I think that's what I was going to say. I feel like women also, we love to fix things. Yeah. Like, I don't know why we like to fix things. And I feel like that it goes into us with men. Like, we want to fix them.
Why though? Because, just many women that I coach who are like 15 years after marriage and I wasted years. Oh my God. So, it doesn't end bad. Excuse me. It ends bad. So why though?
Yeah. Guys, help me out here.
I think it's like the intention of like having that hope, like, oh, this is going to be someone that's going to like figure it out on his own. But you know what? I actually had a conversation with the guy too, and he kind of was just like, Ale, it's because like you don't understand. And I'm like, okay, well, obviously I don't understand. That's why I'm asking. I don't know like why I keep coming towards you. And he's like, I don't know what it is either. And I'm just like, okay, well, we're just gonna settle it like that. So it's kind of just communicating with them too to see like, okay, where are we? Like, why are we doing this too? Because we ourselves don't even see it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know.
Okay.
That's just me.
Daisy, do you have any feedback?
For me, it's been, I want what I can't have.
Oh, I think that's it.
I want what I can't have. And then when I actually can have it, I run the other way.
Yes. That's so true.
But why is that? We all know that's a detrimental act. We know that that's a waste of our time, possibly. But why do you think inherently you feel that way? I'm trying to dig deep here. So like, help me out here.
Women act
I'm doing this.
hard to get too. So I feel like guys, I don't know. They're not in the right place. Maybe they just want to deprive us and they know they got us on the hook and they just suck the life out of us.
Well, God, I mean, I hope not. Jeez, okay. That doesn't end well. But yeah, I think deep down, like I said, we do want to challenge. I mean, I know for myself, if it's too easy, it's like, okay, we'll have fun, but I'm not going to pursue it. But I do love, like, for example, my wife, someone who's witty, who's charming, who's smart, and who can, keep a conversation. I think that's a challenge in itself. But I think as the oldest person here, I think that pursuit, and maybe changing them, it runs its course and you get tired of it after a while because you just turns out you just waste years of your life, your good years on somebody, and it's not worth it in the end. So, but they also say, like you said, a project and maybe changing him. They also say that's also tied to a female fantasy of like The King and I, The Beauty and the Beast, where you meet somebody who is like a hard villain or just really not a nice person, but then you go and you change them. You think that's kind of part of like your wiring, and so to
You
speak.
make them soft.
Yeah, to bring the good side out of me. You think that's like inherently what women kind of do? Not all women, but some do.
Yeah, I think that is. That's what I said about like the little hope of it's gonna change, you know.
Or maybe we have that touch that we can do it. That we're the ones to do it. And probably we're not.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That's so interesting, though. That's very interesting. Okay. I got to do another episode on that and really talk about that some more.
Okay.
Maybe not change them, but maybe you just make a little impact on them.
Okay.
That's about it.
I think it's sorry, Natalia. I think it's the obsession of like wanting to be the exception. Like I had a situationship for so many years. And I mean, I had a guy telling me like straight up, you know, I don't want a relationship. But I was like, no, he's going to want one. Like, you know, if we keep hanging, I mean, he would hang out with me. I mean, he got all the benefits of a relationship, right? Without the title. So of course he was hanging out with me. But at the time, my mindset was, you know, eventually like, you know, he's going to want me. And then a year went by and then 2 years. And then eventually I came to my senses. Like you said, you get tired of it and you're like, what am I doing? Mm-hmm. So, but I think in the moment I was like, I'm going to change his mind. He's going to want to be with me.
Okay.
But he was just a bad boy. I mean, like he quote unquote bad boy wanting to do what he wanted to do, date, you know, doing whatever with whoever. And I wanted something else. So, yeah.
And let's kind of focus on the bad boy real quick. So again, he was very, like you said, nonchalant. He had his life. He knew what he wanted. He was very vocal with you on what he wanted, which was say, hey, I don't want to do anything serious. So he was honest up front and direct. And that kind of laid the groundwork to this pursuit. Is that right? Mm-hmm. Like, okay, he's telling me this, I thought like I'm going to try to change him.
Yes, I was like, the more time I spent, because we spent a lot of time together. I was like, the more time we spend together. And then, you know, like we had good times together. So I was like, he enjoys his time. He's going to change his mind. And then, you know, 6 months came in and I was like, hey, is this ever going to go anywhere? And I got a hard no. He was like, you know, at the time we were both a lot younger. I mean, we were still in college and he was like, you know, I want to be able to date whoever and be with whoever. And I still just stayed around because I was like, he's going to see how good I am for him. And I had that mindset. Yeah. And I was like, I'd rather have just like the smallest piece of him and, you know, stay around. So I learned my lesson though, for sure.
Yeah, definitely.
Ended up in therapy.
Well, that's good. I'm glad you did. At least you learned from the experience and all that. But yeah. Guys do the same thing. There was this one person that I dated who had a horrible past of boyfriends and things like that. She was incredibly beautiful. And like you said, you want a piece of them. It's like you're so attracted to them. You want them so bad. It's like you don't want to let them go. And you're telling yourself, I'm going to show her that I'm a good guy. I'm going to show her what a good man can be and be the best boyfriend ever. But ultimately, that's not what they want. She ended up cheating on me and going back to her ex. So it's like that I learned my lesson not to invest my time and try to change somebody and convince them that I'm what I am. So again, we all learn our lessons the hard way. But again, I find that so curious. Maybe I got to read up on that to find out. But what is this drive within women or sometimes men that we want to change somebody? I don't know. That's so interesting. Okay. Last question here. This is kind of a serious one. I mean, a lot of these questions are kind of mean spirited. Like, how much does a guy have to make before you date him? Like, you see these damn. How tall does he have to be? Like all these things. Well, we touched on that anyway, but does money matter? I mean, I think you all answered the question already. As long as he's working towards something, right? Is all you want. Yeah. You can't be
100%. Yeah.
The inner drive.
The inner drive, the ambition, the initiative to do something greater, to become greater than what he is, right? So guys, there you go. I mean, you don't have to have 6 figures. If you are, that's great, but 6 figures does really a lot nowadays. But anyway, I mean, as long as you have initiative and drive. But this question here is from CM Smith. Ooh, how many times have you been cheated on, if at all? And how did it change you on how you see men? Go ahead, go first.
Oh, me? Okay. Sorry.
I'm sorry.
I was just seeing somebody. He denied, or he had kids. He denied being with his the mother of his child. So they lived separately. I figured he was just, providing for her financially. Mm-hmm. The whole time he lived with her. He had never invited me over and stuff like that. And in my mind, I can't say I was cheated on because I was never like the girlfriend or like the official.
Yeah, we're just talking or something, right?
Dating, I would say.
Oh, okay.
Because he'd definitely tell me different stuff. Oh, I can't wait for our kids to meet, the liar, yeah, the manipulator. So I feel like the cheating, definitely, I've been cheated on with my first boyfriend, and he told me straight up, like, yeah, we went through something.
Oh.
We went through something, and he told me, yeah, I cheated on you last night. And I appreciated that more than anything because at least he didn't lie to me.
Like he was honest with you. Okay. Anybody else want to answer that? Anybody, like, did it change your outlook on men at all?
I've never been cheated on, but I think like hearing stuff from other girls, like it hurts. Like obviously, like you start to see yourself differently, and I think it hurts a lot of your self-esteem and your self-worth, and kind of just questioning like, man, like what did I do? And it's kind of just like, no honey, like it's them, like they're the ones that cheated, you know. So it's kind of just like they weren't the person for you, and they don't know how to like cope with that and accept that, because obviously that's someone that you trusted in, you know, with your heart. So I feel like it's very destructing in a girl's perspective, you know, or even like in a guy's perspective too. Like you love that person so much, or you had so many memories with that person, and then just to kind of like, okay, done. Like I went with someone else. Like, oh, like reality check, you know. So I feel like that's a very hurtful situation.
Okay.
Well, I wanted to go back. What was the exact question again? How did it make us feel? How did that change us?
How did cheating? Have you been cheated on, and how did it change how you see men? If it did change how you see men.
It makes you question yourself, and so you basically wonder, what was it? Not obviously, it's not about the other women, but what did he feel that he had that need to do that? What did I do wrong? That's which it always comes down to. So now you're always trying to like put the pieces or like pick at it. Like, what was it that ticked him into doing that? But I feel like guys are just wired like that. They're not.
It's not really your fault as the person who got cheated on. It's always the other person. You didn't do anything wrong. It's a flaw.
They can't commit. They have their own issues internally, mentally.
Well, we're never emotionally vested. You know, some people just can't. Temptation comes along and they'll just pursue it. They don't have any boundaries or self-respect, and they're just kind of they're kind of selfish in a way. They're just going to pursue. Hey, I got attention over here. I'm gonna go over here. So it's never the person's fault who got cheated on. Nunca. I think Lisa or Daisy, did you have anything on that?
No, I've never been. Oh, sorry, Daisy.
You're good. Go for it.
No, I was just going to say the same exact thing. I've never been cheated on. Obviously, haven't been in a relationship, but I can only imagine like how I feel like it would make me go crazy. Like it's definitely traumatizing, you know. I hear some stories. I mean, even just from like my experience just with situationships, right? Like finding out about other girls, you know, in whatever way that I find out. I mean, even that hurts. So I can only imagine, you know, people who are in long-term relationships.
And real quick, Daisy, before you get your answer, I'm just going to ask Annalisa, because I know the comments are going to be asking, and I'm just going to get ahead of this. Why haven't you had a boyfriend? I mean, you've never had one since high school. So why is that? And
I've never had one since high school. I did have sort of a traumatizing experience in high school with my boyfriend. After that, I feel like I just kind of steered away from dating. And then I met my situationship, which lasted for a couple of years. And then really, I feel like I went to therapy, I think last year. And that's when I was like, okay, I'm not going down the right path. Let me, you know, try to just see what's going on. I feel like that helped a lot in knowing what I wanted. So now that I'm back out into the dating world, I mean, I meet guys and I'm like, not to get too much into detail, but I mean, I meet guys and they're from out of town, and it's just they want to go out one night. They tell me it's great, and then I don't hear from them. Or kind of like Daisy said, really, like, you know, I like them and they don't like me, and then I find them with a girlfriend a month later, or vice versa. They are all about me, but they're just maybe not my type, you know, physically, emotionally, anything like that. So I feel like just finding that balance. And a lot of times, which I was going to bring up too, is just my age. I feel like I'm at that point where a lot of guys I get this a lot. I'm not where I want to be financially. I'm not in a place to date. I'm not where I want to be. So how can I bring someone else into the picture? And I understand that.
That's a fair answer.
No, it is. I mean, yeah, I definitely feel that way too, to a certain extent. But at the same time, like the last guy that I was, yeah, at the same time, I mean, the last guy that I dated, so I was dating a guy kind of in summer, not dating, let me just say talking. We went out on a couple of dates. He never made anything exclusive. His thing was, hey, I can't financially afford to date right now. And I'm like, well, I'm not asking around for Gucci bags. Like I'm not doing that. Like we could walk around the park for all I care. And his excuse was like, no, I still can't afford to date financially. Now he has a new girlfriend. They've been traveling like all over. So, I mean, that's where it's kind of like, okay, is a guy being honest with me or not? So
yeah,
I really just, that's the main excuse. I even had a talk with another guy today. I asked him, you know, why are you emotionally unavailable to me? And that was his response was, I'm just not where I'm at financially. Maybe once I pay off my truck. So I get it a lot. And I don't know if it's like where I'm at in that age range, but it's the common response.
Maybe it's where you're looking.
Maybe too. And I'm really stuck in San Antonio, so maybe, you know, I need to venture out. And the side of town, I feel like I feel like
maybe
I need to do that.
If you like hobbies, like, so I heard someone tell me, or I don't even know where I heard this. What do you want your future husband to be doing on a Saturday night?
Yeah, I've heard that.
You want him to play golf, then go to the golf course. You know, find him there. Go to
I know. I tried the run clubs that are around San Antonio for a while. I was like trying to see, you know, who can I meet, because I really want to meet in person, but no luck yet. Yeah.
And be patient with that. If I can just speak from a guy's point of view, most times it's what I got caught up in this pretty fast is just the amount of options. There are tons of options for a guy who's got his shit together, who's charismatic and can get dates easy. And that was one of them for a long time. I got caught up in that fast, and people would ask me, why don't you want to commit? I was like, I don't know what I want right now. I just like, you know, like I was really avoidant attachment style. But for guys who are attractive and who have their shit together, there's just so many options out there. We just don't want to commit because we're thinking, well, not picky. It's just, we can find somebody who checks all the boxes, but our brain starts thinking there's somebody else out there. Maybe there's another box that I don't want. Maybe a hotter version of her, a younger version. You know, we think that way if we have a lot of options. So I find there's a lot of people, and women are like this or guilty of this as well. There's just so many options nowadays with dating apps, especially if you got that game solid, the game down.
I've heard men think like that though, at least from like other guys that I've talked to, that they're like, well, girls find one good guy and they want to latch on, but guys have 100 good girls to choose from. So they're like, well, I have all these good girls, you know, 100 of them are good. So I don't really know.
Or what do they call them now? The roster? Is that still a word?
Yeah, they call them the roster.
Yeah, it's a sad truth. And going back to the nonchalant guy, if a guy, again, from my experience as well, if you know what you want, you're assertive and you're honest with them. Some people try to change you, and they'll
do you feel, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was going to ask you, do you feel like, I know you said you kind of you were dating around and telling people, you know, I just don't know what I want. Do you feel like it took the right person or it was just the right time for you?
Keep in mind, my divorce, again, 2016, never been single as an adult. So I had 4 years of just 3 dates a week, sometimes 2 on Saturday. You know, the girl at 6 o'clock at night, I drop her off at 10, then pick the other one up at 12. So I was just going crazy.
I'm like, what dating app were you?
Match and Tinder and what's the other one? Hinge wasn't around yet, but just Match and Tinder. But I was just dating and just having fun. I would tell women, look, if you want the serious guy, that's not me. I just was married with this woman, 20 years, 16 married. I just want to have fun. If you're looking for the fun guy, that's me. And some of them try to change me, and I was, no, that ain't gonna work. But again, I dated like crazy. But it got to the point where I don't want to say I had enough fun. It got to the point where I just knew that it was empty. And like, for example, not to get real here, but my dad had a heart attack one time, and I was just by myself in the emergency room and just thinking, like, you know, I saw my sister with her husband. I saw like everybody with their somebody, and I'm sitting here by myself with no one to just do this to my back. And that's what matters. It's those raw moments in life that matter, not the fun things at the club or things like that. It's those raw human moments that you want that person next to you that you can count on. And that's when I started looking for something serious. And then I got lucky with my wife, but I found her, and I'm a lucky man. So that's when I just wanted something deeper other than sexual and things like that. Daisy, I'm sorry. We're talking about cheating. I think, sorry, has cheating changed anything? Your outlook on men? And I know we're over on time, and I'll wrap it up after this answer.
I have not been cheated on.
Good.
And yeah, thanks be to God. But I will say, since the divorce, I have seen and heard a lot of things to where I am now very skeptical with who I choose to share things with, spend my time with. Kind of again ties back to, I don't even let, like, my friends and family haven't even met any of these men that I have dated or entertained for even one date, guys. Like, let's be real, I don't even get past date number 2, much
Really?
less.
Wow.
Yeah, it doesn't. Yeah, at least for like the last 3 years, it's definitely been that way. But yeah, it's a scary world out there with how easily accessible everything and everybody is.
Mm-hmm.
And just like the no guilt, like the guiltless conscience people have, or no conscience, I should say, people have. It's intimidating. It's a little scary, but I still stay hopeful.
It'll happen. It'll happen when you're not looking. And I know people hate hearing that, but it always happens when you're not looking for it. And it always happens when you're happy with your life, you're happy with what's going on, you're happy with your friends, and you're not necessarily looking, and then you bump into him or her. That's honestly the honest truth, in my opinion, speaking from real experience. But before we wrap up, any final thoughts, anything you guys want to share and send out to the internet, to the world, like any final thoughts on dating from your perspective before we wrap up?
Just take your time. And I like what you said too. What you said is, it'll come to you when you least expect it.
Definitely.
Maybe someone you know and don't even.
And you don't see it yet.
Yeah, you don't see it in them yet.
Yeah. It's odd how life works sometimes. Like, what? But anybody else?
I would just say don't settle.
Yes, don't
settle. If someone wants to, they will. They're out there. So you're never asking for too much. You're just asking the wrong person. As cliche as it sounds, it's true.
That was great. I love that. That's going to be on TikTok.
I'll say follow your heart, genuinely, wholeheartedly. If you like her, do something about it. Say something about it. Let her know. Vice versa, ladies. Just, yeah.
And don't be scared of rejection. Just, it's better to know than never know, in my opinion.
Yeah. Say something.
Mm-hmm. And Alejandra, no pressure, but you're the last one.
That was good, girls. I think just love yourself, and I think the things that are supposed to come to you are gonna come to you regardless. And just be able to communicate, like be yourself and be honest, because no one, like you said, they're gonna accept you for you. So don't even try to change yourself or try to act like you're someone else. Just be yourself. That's it.
Awesome. Well, again, ladies, thank you so much for doing this. I know we're over on time, but again, I appreciate every single one of you. Now, I may ask you back like in a couple of weeks, because when these episodes go up, there's a lot of feedback from the guys. And if you're down to do like a live, rebuttal to some of your answers, I would let me know, and I'd be more than happy to have you on. But again, sincerely, thank you for your time and all your stories and for sharing your experiences. It means a lot to me.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
This was so great.
Good night.